Welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women podcast, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I am your host, Kamika Dillard. Welcome to the sanctuary. Um, I believe that we are really getting down to the more nitty gritty of what this podcast was created to be more and more about, which is just really trying to help Black women. So, pull on up to the sanctuary. It is time to get into the nitty gritty for the week. So let's talk about this week's failure forward files. So this week's failure forward moment is a reminder that emotional setbacks are still progress. This week in particular was really challenging for me. I felt really invisible. I showed up for so many people this week in so many different ways. I felt like I was running myself raggedy across LA. I was on phone calls, I was in meetings, I was listening to stories, I was coaching, I was prepping, I was doing all the things. And the moment I needed a little bit of support and I reached out and asked for it, I didn't get it. I hate asking for help like many Black women do. I had a friend that I ran into a few weeks back who said, "Hey, I really want to help you with this project that you're working on. I'm working on several projects." And, I text them and then I sent an email in silence. And then I really started questioning, dang, am I doing enough? Is what I'm working on really of value? Because this person who I reached out to didn't even text me back, didn't return my email. So I spiraled, like so many of us know, about that familiar place of, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Why didn't they call me back? It must be something that I did, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to remind us that it's okay to spiral just a little bit, but we don't want to stay in the spiral. So one thing my therapist always reminds me is that letting that emotion out, letting that feeling of, saying it just out loudly, like, it has power in it. It allows you to let it go. It allows you to move forward. So even when you are trying to hold it together and not cry and not feel the feelings, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. So I'm going to encourage everyone this week to spiral just a little bit emotionally. Remember that emotional setbacks are not setbacks. It's actually just another step to move us forward. So that is our failure tip for the week. Remember, failure isn't the end. It is an invitation to begin again with more wisdom, more fire. Let's just keep failing forward, sisters. All right. Our first guest, our only guest. I need to stop saying our first guest. We only have one guest, y'all, per show because this is a lot. But our guest today is Anetra Henry. Anetra is a strategic partnerships and growth executive with more than 2 decades of experience advancing organizations. She's known for her ability to translate vision into strategy, where she has developed successful sponsorships, fundraising initiatives, that strengthens organizational health, expand visibility, build trust with stakeholders across sectors. She brings both professional insight and personal reflection to this conversation. In other words, our girl got it going on. She's done a lot in her career. She's done more than enough. All that being said, let's welcome our girl Anetra to the sanctuary. Hey, girl.
Girl,
How are you?
I'm good.
Happy day. I don't want to say what day it is because, yeah.
Happy day to you too.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for you to tell your story. So let's start with the basics. When did we lose our job? When did it happen? Tell us a little bit about it.
It happened the top of this year, but it was happening before.
Mm.
It was happening before. And I think that there are probably a lot of people for whom the writing has been on the wall. There's things that happen. And so it was just one of those things where the opportunity presented itself to downsize the organization. And that downsizing happened to me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So beginning of the year, downsized organization. Was it a shock to the
No.
system?
Well, it wasn't a shock that the conversation happened and that this particular situation happened. I think the shock to the system was how long the process in between was. And you were just talking about the emotional spiral. I wasn't expecting that. Before I had worked at this particular place, I had run my own consultancy for a long time. And so you get used to having to let things go. Um, let organizations go, let the people go, let the work go because it's complete. But I didn't necessarily feel that way at this particular organization with this immediately afterwards. I did lean into the rest and the break. Once I kind of sat with it for a little bit, I was like, this is going to be great. You know, I had no idea how exhausted I really was trying to be, like many Black women do, everything for everybody. You know, you're mentoring, you're managing up, you're holding space for a lot of different people. You're also trying to make sure that you do great work and that a little bit of yourself is present in the work and that you see everyone because as a Black woman, we are so accustomed to not being seen that we don't want other people to feel that way. And so a lot of times in my work, I find myself doing exactly that, trying to make sure that there isn't anyone that is sitting on the sidelines, not at the cool table with the cool kids. I try to make sure that everybody feels seen and heard. So after it happened, it was like, this is great. I get to rest. I get to sleep. And then you get tired of sleeping because your spirit is called to do some other work and to do some other things.
So let's talk about those first 30 days. So it's a question I ask everybody. First 30 days, what you do? Walk me through it. I know we rested. What else?
You know, the first 30 days, that's what I did was really rest.
Like really slept, like took some naps, didn't get out our pajamas. What was we doing?
We slept. We got up when the ancestors woke us up. I like to say when the ancestors woke us up, and it was one of those things I got committed to. I'm going to my mantra for every day was I'm going to do everything I want to do and nothing I don't. And so that's exactly what I did. If I felt like cooking something in particular, then I cooked that in particular. I ate that in particular. I watched what I wanted to watch. I listened to what I wanted to listen to. And I didn't do anything that I didn't want to do unless it was necessary, like laundry. Folding clothes is something that I hate. But
oh, you fold clothes?
I have to, but I don't like to. But I did fold and wash clothes and shower and do all of the essential things during that time. But it was really a mantra every day when I got up. I'm doing everything I want to do and nothing that I don't.
Is this your first job loss?
No.
All right, tell me what the difference is between this job loss and prior job losses.
This one, I really loved the work. And I found myself attached more to certain people in and around the organization than I ever did before. I grew up and understood something. I went to a HBCU and
which one? Shout it out.
Savannah State University. We just had our homecoming. And of course, I'm here in California and Savannah State is in Georgia on the ocean. So I'm clearly not there. But I recall like going to that HBCU, my professors that were in my department laid such thick knowledge on me. And one of them in particular said, you know, you're not going to go out. What you're not going to do is go out in this world and act like I didn't teach you better. And so it was a lesson about get close and lean in and do the work, but don't get too close because you know what it is. You know, I leaned in too close. I feel like perhaps this time I really started to care more. I've always cared and felt deeply about and passionate about the work that I do. But I never really got super close to the people. There was always that distance that I had been taught to keep. And I let my guard down this time. And so this hurt a little bit more because I did care about the messenger and the messengers, uh, and not necessarily just the message.
So most of your hurt was because this came from a job where you were vested in the people in a way that you've never been vested before.
That is correct.
So as you think about your journey now, and we'll get more in depth about like next steps, would you ever be that vested again?
I would like to say I wouldn't make that same call again, but it's hard to know if you'll do it because people touch you in different ways. And I also have to recognize that I'm at a different stage in my life. Prior to this, when I lost the job before, I was in my early 20s and chasing the dollar.
Mm.
And so it was like, so what? I can go out and get another job tomorrow. And that's pretty much what I did. You know, within 2 weeks, I was already interviewing and getting another role, but I was at a different stage and at a different point in my career. Those skills were easily transferable across different sectors. Now you've been in the workforce 20 plus years. You know really where you want to go. You know which organizations you want to work for and which ones you don't. Because you've been tied to different networks, different experiences that you've had where you know, like, I would never go work over there.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't matter what difference that I can make. I'm going to get burned out in 2 years. So I'm not even going to put myself through that. So I would like to say I wouldn't make that same thing, that same kind of investment in people again. But it's hard to say that when you don't know what's next for you and who's coming next for you.
Mm.
I would say the same thing. You know, I would have said, I will never get invested in that again after I got divorced. Well, that's clearly not true. So you learn to love again. You know, you learn to heal in a different way.
Interesting. So what I'm really picking up on is this different levels, different devils type of mantra
Yes.
that when we lost jobs in our 20s, we didn't have to manage through. And we're in our 40s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're in
Okay,
our
sis
40s.
looks good. We're in our 40s, and we're not, when you know more, we're not afforded that lack of knowledge in order to make decisions a little bit more freely. It's almost like when you know too much information, you get almost a little bit more paralyzed with how you move forward. So you've been without a job since the top of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It is now late October.
Mm-hmm.
What are you kind of thinking through? And I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I'm curious as to where you're trying to go with your job search, or how has your job search been?
My job search has been a little all over the place in the sense that I've had a lot of optimism and false starts. Um, as I said, it wasn't a surprise to me that this was happening. And so I had already begun looking for another job. When you get to a certain point in your career, people start, not being as warm, not showing up on time for certain meetings, making excuses, that kind of thing. You start to know because you've seen it, you've experienced it before. So I have begun looking for another opportunity, been interviewing, been talking to my network, doing all the things that you're supposed to do. And had another opportunity that was supposed to start February, March, at the latest, the start of Q2. And after the new administration got in, that particular opportunity was funded heavily through government grants. And once those got doged, if you will, the response was, we would hate to bring you on and only have you for 6 months because that's all the funding that we have because the funding has gotten cut. I've had other opportunities where I've made it to the final rounds of interviews, and it's typically between me and an internal candidate. Well, you could be great all you want to, but sometimes the devil is better than the one that you don't. And so for me, I've received that as a lot of optimism. I know that there's some people who are really struggling just to get their foot in the door and to get their resume to a decision maker. That hasn't been my experience with this job search. Now, the other thing is just simply this. I did spend 12 years having my own consultancy. So now I'm kind of over the job search a little bit. It's like 1A. If one was the thing, it's 1A. I'm leaning back into my consulting because it pays and it makes sure I can eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the money. She said consultancy is paying.
Yes.
And you are able to eat. You ain't missed no meals since we've been laid off.
We haven't missed any meals.
So let's talk about the dollars. So did we get a severance package?
We did.
How many weeks?
Oh, we got some months.
Oh, how many months?
We got 4 months.
Okay.
Yes. So to be clear, the release was at the top. The final paychecks came at the top of the year.
Okay.
But I was paid to sit down and basically do nothing for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
We love to hear about that. Mm-hmm. So did you have your traditional 6 months of money saved up?
I did.
Okay. So we did the right thing, had our 6 months. Where are we at today financially? Because now we've passed that 6-month mark. Where are you standing?
Where I stand now is I have had to dip into my 401k, my retirement savings to make things work, because I lent a lot of energy to, okay, I'm going to take this break. I have this thing lined up at the top of the year. I'm going to be able to take a month off. And then when that didn't work out, I began really throwing myself into the job search and having these interviews and going through at my level. A lot of times it's not just 1 or 2 interviews. It's several rounds of interviews. There are different things that they want you to do, projects or presentations that they want you to put together and do for them in order to prove that you have all of the ingredients in the pie, if you will.
So I personally am not a fan of that type of interviewing. Yeah. I think it's a scam. I think it's a way for employers to get like free labor out of me to take some of my ideas. Like, I am not a fan of that. Do you give any pushback when employers ask for that type of work from you, project based? Like, here is my resume. What you think I'm lying? Like, what do you say when employers ask for that type of information?
I say it depends on exactly what they're asking for. And I would agree with you. There are times when employers are looking to get free ideas out of potential candidates that they have no intention of hiring. To me, it depends on what they're asking for. If you're giving me the bulk of the information and you just want to see how I'm going to present with the board of directors or with high-level decision makers or C-suite people, that's one thing. And I'm okay with that type of thing as long as you're providing the information and maybe I'm just adding some accoutrement, if you will, to the situation. What I'm not okay with is you want me to go to the grocery store, buy all the ingredients. You want me to mix the ingredients and you want me to bake the pie at my house and then bring it to you and I can't have a slice. Now, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so in corporate speak, beware of the employers that ask you to build out a full-fledged out marketing plan with details, 30, 60, 90, 120-day details. Like, we not doing that. No, we not doing that. Give me a case study. I'm going to solve your little case study.
Yes.
And go keep it moving.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be careful because right now it's an employer's market. And there are some that do not have the best of intentions. And they know there are a lot of people out here are in a space of desperation. And so they will use this opportunity to get a lot of free ideas from you. But you got to know your worth. And anybody that asks me to do free work for them, I'm not volunteering. Let's be clear. This is not a volunteer situation. If I wanted to volunteer, that's why I'm a member of a sorority. We got a bunch of things that we can volunteer to do.
She a member of what sorority?
Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Oh, girl, and they will do what for us? They will work you, okay?
Yes.
You will get worked, okay? We don't sit around and tea party with Delta,
no,
okay?
we do not.
There's work to be done, okay? Okay, back to the regular programming.
Yes.
No, I feel that. Like, I'm not here to volunteer. Know your worth, add tax. I'm all about that.
Yes.
So, money-wise, you're dipping into savings. What other support do you have? Let's talk about your support system.
Well, I have a wonderful support system, I feel like. Now, you were talking about earlier about not necessarily as Black women being able to ask for help. That's a skill that we have to learn,
Mm.
and we have to, refine. I would say it's a jagged piece of iron, and we have to refine it into a sword. And what happens is a lot of times people tell you that, oh, I'm in your corner, and they're really not. I can't say that that is the case with me. I must say I have not tapped into my financial support system quite yet. But I know that I can. One of the things that you and I discussed kind of pre-interview is my 85, about to be 86-year-old mother has no idea that I have not been working. And that is a situation all of its own. But I have a partner. I have a million cousins that are just great, in terms of that. And I have my sorority sisters. I have so many friends that have been through the same thing. But the other problem is a lot of them are going through the exact same thing. And so we have to be there for each other. When people get down, I'm usually the one that's on the edge of optimism. The glass is always half full to me.
So let's talk a little bit more about not telling our mom that we're not working,
Yes.
because ain't no support like your mama's support.
Nope.
Okay. I thought when you shared that, hey, I didn't tell your mom. I didn't tell my mom that I lost my job. I thought that was like really interesting.
Hmm.
Let's talk about why you haven't told your mom.
My mom is a stroke survivor. She had a stroke in 2021, and she lives in Georgia. And my mom is the bottom of the silent generation, where, quite honestly, my father was the lovey-dovey, give you the hugs and pat you on the butt and be like, baby, you gonna be okay. Let me kiss you. Let me love you up. My mama was like, okay, give me that hug. Now get off me and go get yourself together. She comes from that generation where her parents survived the Depression. There was no time to be in your feelings, your emotions. You don't have the opportunity to sit with your feelings. They are before therapy, and I'm sorry, you
Listen,
know? So for her, while I don't want to disappoint her, and I don't think that she would be disappointed, I do think she would be worried. And when I'm dealing with a parent that's surviving a stroke and, got the ear of the Lord based on that age, I do not want to add anything to that. For me, I want to savor her. I don't want to worry her. I want to enjoy every moment that I have with her because I'm recognizing that it's finite.
mm, yeah, it's so interesting. You have the total opposite approach that I had when I lost my job. When I lost my job, I was actually about to head on a plane. I got laid off an hour before it was time for me to board a plane. And I texted a few friends, and then, of course, I called my mom. And my mom's initial reaction was, oh, well, at least you don't have to work on your vacation. Okay, be safe. Text me when you land. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
none of that. Oh, poor baby. Woe
Mm-hmm.
is me. Mom's just, our moms, because our moms are the same age, they
Mm-hmm.
just don't play that over emotional like response to stuff. And it, unfortunately, I think it feeds into Black women inability to really be forthright with how they're feeling during times like this. You
Mm-hmm.
talk about being a strong support system for your friends that are also dealing with a bunch of this other stuff. So tell me, how are you guys honestly showing up for each other emotionally, whatever it takes right now, whether it's financially, et cetera, et cetera? How are you showing up for your circle of friends that might also be dealing with the same job loss?
Um, One is you have to check on people when you get that tingle, and I feel like Black women in particular, we have a little spidey sense, a little something extra.
Mm.
Um, that's like you need to reach out to XYZ friend. Don't ignore that. In my experience, when I stop what I'm doing and reach out to that person, they're usually on the edge. Um, my situation is like I said, I tend to be on the more optimistic side. I'm not married. I don't have children. I have a partner, right? And not having kids for me has had its bad moments, but it's also had its good moments right now because I really just got to think about how to solve it for me. Um, Most of my friends do have children, whether they're partnered, married, or not, but a lot of what it is falls on mama to solve. And mama is having to be the voice of reason, the voice of calm for her partner, for her children. And who does she get to say out loud to, I'm afraid?
Mm.
It is not popping off the way that I thought it would. And I'm scared right now. I don't know how I'm going to make uh, these bills last. I don't know how I'm going to make sure every time I touch a button in this house, something comes on. So you really have to show up for that person in that moment, and not just with the platitudes. If you've got some ideas, like so many of my friends have started gardens and growing food, and we've started kind of shopping in bulk and doing some different things. And I cook more now than I probably ever had because I've been focused on cooking for one or maybe two. And now I'm like, I need to cook extra because if somebody's going through something in my immediate area, I've got something to give them, right?
Yeah.
Because mothers will go without eating to make sure that their kids eat. I don't want any of my friends to go through that.
Yeah, I read something earlier this week that said stop asking people if you need something and start just showing up with the thing that they may or may not need.
Hmm.
Like, for example, how you said that you cook with for your friends, like when you go into the grocery store, just say, "Hey girl, I'm in the grocery store. I'm gonna pick up some bread and stuff. What kind of bread you get?" Like, make the assumption
Hmm.
that they need bread. Make the assumption that they need some chicken. Like, girl, you prefer dark meat, light meat? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is a shift in perspective. And I think that you have to kind of do that. I don't want to say a switcheroo, but it is kind of a little bit of contortionism when it comes to Black women to get like to force them to like accept your help. So
Yes.
I love to hear that you kind of are already in your community is already kind of focusing that way. So let's talk about next steps. So you say you have your consultancy. Are we standing the consultancy back up? Or are we really actively still looking for a job? What's the next steps?
I am standing the consultancy up for the sector that I'm in and the network that I have. What I keep hearing is right now, because things are so unstable, we don't know what's going on from one day to the next, is people are really more open to having a consultant because it's finite, come on, than have this full commitment to another employee,
Yeah.
especially at the level that I tend to come in at. I'm usually the number two to somebody, almost like a chief of staff or chief operating officer, something along those lines. And that doesn't come cheap. And I'm well aware of that. And, it shouldn't. I'm not cheap. You know? So the consultancy is there. I do think that it will lead to another opportunity because what happens is people get a taste and they're like, okay, I can't deal without this.
Mm.
I can't. I'll figure it out. I'll find a way to include you in the budget or whatever the case may be. So it's for me. It's 1 and 1A. And let's be clear. I'm one.
Mm.
Right.
So consultancy first, employment second.
Me first.
Oh.
So whatever has to be done to make sure Anetra is taken care of, whether that's through another job or that's consulting business, through my creative efforts, me first. Me first. So I'm picky about who I want to go work for. And, people would say, oh, that's not a good thing. But I know me and I know what I'm bringing to the table. So it's me first. And if a consulting gig allows me to live the life that I'm going to live and that I'm meant to live, then that's what I'm doing first. It doesn't mean that I'm not applying for jobs. It doesn't mean if somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, I want you to take a look at this, that I'm unwilling to do that. It's just me first.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, what is your ask from the community? How would you like to be saved?
This is how I would like to be saved. I would like for you all to just support Me personally, go follow me on LinkedIn at Anetra Henry, and that's Anetra Henry. And then I have a website, Anetra Henry /home.com, where you learn more about my sponsorship success guide, particularly for nonprofit social organizations that need sponsorship. But other than that, just take a moment. The way that you can save me is save another Black woman, right? I can't do it all by myself. And if you know someone who is in this same situation or think they may be, because I talked very clearly about there are certain things that let women know, let us know that the writing is on the wall. I have so many friends right now who are afraid that they're next, that the target is on their back. Stand them up. I'm also an amplifier. So if you share something with me, even if it's not in my specifically for me, I want to help another Black woman save herself, save her family. So I'm definitely an amplifier. You'll see a lot of my stuff on LinkedIn is me shouting out somebody else, me sharing something about somebody else. I'm always willing to do that.
I love it. I love it. So we can save Anetra by supporting her, and she's already doing the A. She's amplifying other Black women. And I love the piece that, like you said, like, while there's so many of us that are currently unemployed, there are some that are on the brink of unemployment. So we need to make sure that we are supporting those sisters in whatever they need, whether it's, mental support, where girl, come and tell me about how your day has went at work, strategy planning for like how to maybe exit the job they're in currently, move across to another role within the job. There's so many ways that we can protect ourselves in this situation. So let's make sure that we're looking out for others outside of just those who are currently unemployed, because somebody got to keep the money flowing in to help each other. This is a community of women who definitely will support other women. So thank you, Anetra. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm so glad you came.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, lots of jewels dropped by Anetra on this week's episode. I'm so excited, so grateful that she was able to come in. I feel like the big key takeaway that I had from her was, I'm putting me first, run me my money, no matter what, if it's via the consultancy, if it's via the getting another job. Like, I'm definitely going to look out for me and what I need in order to survive in this mess of corporation America. So now it is time for our save strategy for the week. This is a moment to support, amplify, validate, and elevate ourselves and each other. Whether you're rebuilding, launching, or just holding it together, this tip is for you. And this save strategy for the week is for anyone who's carrying more than they're letting on. And it's so fitting that Anetra kind of brought that up with her support system. It is super important that we validate the feelings. It is okay to not be okay. Your emotions is not a weakness. I'm going to say it one more time. Your emotions is not a weakness. One thing that I've tried to do with this podcast is be really vulnerable in sharing more of myself, making sure that Black women can like really put themselves out there with no shame, with like no embarrassment. I want to make sure that when you're able to put that out there, when you're able to show your emotions, when you're able to articulate how you're feeling, you're really giving signals to the people outside to give you what you need. So when you are crying, sometimes that might signal to somebody that you might need a hug. When are angry or upset, that might signal to somebody you might need a little bit more space. So know that your emotions are a driving signal. So don't be afraid to let them out so that you can signal in order to get what you need. So that is our save strategy for the week. Take what you need, share what you can. Remember, Black women saving Black women starts right here. Have a wonderful week. Look forward to seeing you in the sanctuary in a few days. Thank you.